And welcome, folks, to another edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. This is a very special edition of Tobs Talk. I'm wearing pink because tonight's game is sponsored by the Pink Ladies of Wilson, helping raise breast cancer awareness. Well, the last time we spoke, the Tobs sat at 20-19. They have played 3 games since then, and you have 3 guesses as to what their record is, and the first 2 don't count. If you guessed 500, you'd be right. The Tobs played host to the Petersburg Generals and ended up losing that game by a score of 7-4. Things started off pretty well for the Tobs as Michael Wilson, the starter, pitched a scoreless top of the first inning. Then Doug Teagarden in the bottom of the first blasted a 2-run shot out towards right field, giving the Tobs a 2-0 lead. However, that lead wouldn't stick and the Tobs found themselves down 4-2 going into the 8th inning when Doug Teagarden, who ended up with a 2-for-3 night, including a walk, ripped a double down the right field line, giving him 3 runs batted in on the night and making the score 4-3. But Daniel Batts, who had not allowed a run since June 28th when he picked up the win in 5 2/3 innings against the Edenton Steamers in a Tobs comeback victory, allowed 3 runs in the top of the 9th inning, making the score 7-3. Justin Carroll would hit an RBI double in the bottom of the 9th inning, but it was much too little, much too late, and the Tobs dropped the game 7-4. The Tobs then went on the road for the start of a scheduled 3-game road trip. They ended up beating the Fayetteville Swamp Dogs by a score of 9-8. Ryan Minteer was very, very good out on the mound, going 7 1/3 innings. He had a 5-2 lead entering the bottom of the 8th inning and had only thrown 74 pitches. However, the Swamp Dogs were finally able to kind of connect off of him, and they scored 3 runs, including 2 coming in when the bullpen tried to strand a couple of inherited runners, but it was not to be. A 5-5 score after 8 innings. So then the Tobs, after seeing the lead disappear, what did they do? They scored 4 runs in the top of the 9th inning. It seemed like Chris Williams, who came on in the bottom of the 8th inning to kind of clean up the mess, would have an easy time of it. In the bottom of the 9th inning, however, Williams, who had not allowed a run since May 31st, his only runs allowed on the season when he went 1 1/3 innings, allowing 3 runs, both of them earned, in the 9th inning almost blew the game as he allowed 3 runs to score. But the game was an absolutely wild one. In the 5th inning, Adam Pate led off the inning with a bunt down the 3rd baseline. The throw to first was not in time. Pate looked like he was going to be safe, but James Folsky, the home plate umpire, called him out on a runner's interference. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, the reason is, in the bottom of the 9th inning, with guys on 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, Chris Williams, in a 9-6 game, was on the mound, and he ended up striking out Nathan Bozar. Matt Rubino, who came in as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the 9th inning, blocked the ball, picked it up, had a little bit of trouble doing so, threw down first base. It was wide of the base. Collins Cuthro could not stop the ball. Both runners ended up scoring. The batter, Bozarth, ended up at 2nd base, but wait. Home plate umpire James Folsky, for the 2nd time in the game, called a runner's interference. Both of the runners had to return to their bases, and the game remained 9-6, now with 2 outs. However, Brandon Matoyer came up and singled into left field, driving in both runs and making it just a 1-run game. However, Chris Williams was able to induce a pop-out to the first baseman, Cuthro, to end the game, making it 9-8 in favor of your Wilson Tobs. Well, the Tobs were scheduled to go out on the road against the Gastonia Grizzlies and actually stay overnight, but that game ended up getting rained out, and then they had to go on and play the Columbia Blowfish. Now, the Blowfish, a team that the Tobs had not played all season long, they went up, and things started off well as Adam Pate dropped a bunt down the 3rd baseline. However, that would be the only hit that the Tobs would get against the Blowfish starter, Josh Reagan, who went 7 innings facing the minimum 21 batters thanks to 3 double plays. That's right, just 1 hit through the first 7 innings for the Tobs. The game was relatively close, a 4-0 game, until the bottom of the 7th inning when the Blowfish really broke open the game against the Tobs bullpen in the person of Cameron Langfells, who, despite his numbers, actually pitched pretty well as Carson Jones had a little bit of a tough time stranding inherited runners. All 4 men that he faced in the inning ended up coming in to score, and the Blowfish had a 10-0 lead. The Tobs, though, would score 2 in the top of the 8th inning as head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, sent 4 pinch hitters in. The pinch hitters were Drew Cole, Ben Schmucker, Seth LaRue, and Doug Teagarden, and Cole and Schmucker got singles of their own, sandwiching an out by Matt Rubino, and then Seth LaRue, in his pinch hit opportunity, blasted a double over the left fielder's head, making it a 10-2 score. But that's all the Tobs would get, losing that game to the Columbia Blowfish by a score of 10-2. They now sit at 500 on the season, which is pretty much where they have been all summer long, and we'll see if they can turn things around against the CPL leading Peninsula Pilots tonight on Pack the Park Pink Night, presented by the Pink Ladies of Wilson. It will also be Mount Olive Company Week here at Fleming, although there's just 2 home games this week. We'll have Lynn Williams on from Mount Olive later on in this show, as well as Jamie Ellis representing the Pink Ladies of Wilson. But right after this next break, we'll have head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, on this very special Pink edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this very special Pink edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly, and with me right now is head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay. And first off, Justin, how good do you look in pink?
Really good. If you had sent me the memo that we were wearing pink today, I would have worn pink for you, but you dropped the ball.
Yeah, it's all right. It happens from time to time with me. But, of course, the Tobs will all be wearing their pink jerseys, including head coach Justin Hay, for tonight's game against the Peninsula Pilots. But going back a couple of games against Fayetteville on Sunday, Ryan Minteer took the mound, and he pitched really well. This is now the 2nd consecutive start that he has pitched fairly well for you guys out on the mound. Is he doing anything differently, or is it just simply spotting the baseball?
Yeah, I mean, what he's doing differently right now is that he's staying within himself. He's not trying to be somebody he's not. The first couple of times he went out, he thought that he needed to try and throw the baseball 93 miles an hour. What he's found out is that he can't control that. It's all over the place. He got a bunch of walks. What he has found out is if he pitches at 86, 87, 88, even down to 85 sometimes, he can put it in the zone and get a lot of outs. What we saw at Fayetteville was that when he needed his fastball to run up to 89, he could strike people out on that, which is really good. So, you know, his mechanics are better when he's not trying to overthrow, trying to overexert himself, and he's able to repeat his mechanics, which ends up with him being able to throw more strikes. So it's been a really big turn for us that we need here late, another starting pitcher to come in and throw well, and he's been that guy for us.
How hard is it to convince a pitcher to kind of dial it down in order to get the control out there?
It's difficult, and just like with anything, though, failure is the best teacher. So, you know, sometimes you have to let somebody fail long enough that they come to you and ask, what can I do? And luckily with Ryan, it didn't take as long as it does sometimes. After 2 or 3 outings, he really needed some answers. He came to me, we talked. You know, we really didn't work on much mechanical stuff. We just talked and gave him a better game plan mentally, and he's went out and done a good job with it.
And as the season has gone on, we've seen the roster go through a couple of different changes. Now the starting lineup, it seems like the last couple of nights you've had lineups that you haven't had all summer long. What do you go through and what goes through your mind when you're trying to make up these lineups now that the guys that you usually would have in there are no longer on the roster?
Well, right now you're trying to figure out who's rested, who's going to have the best chance, whose legs are up under them, who's seeing the ball well, and who needs to get some at-bats, because right now, the last couple of games, we've been in a pivotal point of making sure nobody gets rusty for this last push right here in the last 2 weeks. So that's played a little bit of role in it, you know, who needs to see some pitches, and then you look down and try and see who's rested, who's prepared, who's seeing the ball well. So a lot of times it's just watch BP, see who looks like they're going to have a good day, and go with that.
In the last game against the Columbia Blowfish on Tuesday, you actually had a couple of guys who start almost every single game on the bench in Seth LaRue, Ben Schmucker, Drew Cole, and Doug Teagarden, but you brought them in to pinch hit. Is that part of that not letting them get rusty?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they had the night off, because what I'd seen out of them is that they no longer had their legs up under them. We were seeing them do things that they didn't normally do with the bat. They couldn't catch up with fastballs just because they were tired. I think I used the phrase, we rode them like a stolen pony a couple of times, and they were hot, so we just kept putting them out there, and they got tired. So what we did with them is we sat them down, we let them, but I wanted them to get in that bat. They had a tough lefty going, which is why Cole and Schmucker sat, even Teagarden sat, I didn't want them to kind of feel deflated and defeated against him. And then when the right-hander came in, we put those guys in the lineup, and they were able, 3 of the 4 guys were able to have really good at-bats. Doug actually faced a left-hander there in the 9th and put a decent at-bat together, but, it was tough for him to come in off the bench and face a lefty, something he doesn't normally do. So, but, that was the thought process behind it.
Yeah, the Tobs ended up scoring 2 runs in that inning. In fact, the only 2 runs they scored in that game, a 10-2 loss against the Columbia Blowfish. But tonight, hopefully, the Tobs can turn things around, and really looking forward to seeing you in pink tonight.
Thanks. You look good in pink, too.
Thank you, Justin. All right, when we come back, we'll have some of the Pink Ladies out of Wilson right here on this edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this very special pink edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly, and joining me right now is Jamie Ellis of the Pink Ladies. And Jamie, you're a nurse at Wilson Medical Center, but what do you do with the Pink Ladies?
Educate and spread breast cancer awareness.
And when it comes to breast cancer, when you talk about awareness, what does that mean? Just the knowledge that there is breast cancer, what type of people can get it, how to fix it? What does that mean?
We encourage ladies to do monthly breast exams and encourage every woman over the age of 40 to get their yearly mammogram. And we try to help out women who can't maybe afford to go see the doctor and get them to their doctor's appointments and help out with those kinds of things in our community.
And we've seen a lot of this kind of breast cancer awareness start to roll, and it gets more popular as the years have gone by. And you yourself here in Wilson are doing something to kind of bring that awareness in terms of stuff that's on the side of the road. What is that exactly?
The pink trash cans. And this year you'll see pink recycling bins. And we are still selling them till the end of July, and you can call 399-8975 and order a trash can or recycling bin, and we'll have them at the end of September, just in time for October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
That's perfect. So not only are you actually raising the awareness of breast cancer, but you're also helping out by providing trash cans and recycling bins.
We like to say we're kicking cancer to the curb.
That's actually awesome. I really like that one. Who came up with that?
That would have to be the people who started making the pink trash cans.
Well, they get paid for a reason. That's pretty
do.
fun. So, Pink Ladies helping kicking cancer to the curb here in Wilson, thanks to Jamie Ellis. And when it comes to more of this breast cancer awareness, where can people go for those mammograms and everything like that?
Well, of course, we'd like it to stay local and at Wilson Medical Center, but several of the local doctors, if we can't take care of it here, they will send you elsewhere. But if they need any advice to get any help, they can call 399-8975, and Ryan Williams can get them in touch with who they need to talk to.
And if somebody ends up being diagnosed with breast cancer, is this also a type of group where it's a support group as well?
Yes, it is. And we've helped several families deal with not so good outcomes, and we still are in touch with those families that we have helped throughout the 14 years.
Okay, so if I want to, or if anybody else here in Wilson wants to get one of those pink trash cans or those pink recycling bins, how do I go about it again?
Call 399-8975, or you can look up the Pink Ladies of Wilson on Facebook, and that'll get you, or you can find me, Jamie Ellis, on Facebook, and that'll get you a trash can or a recycling bin.
All right, so whatever you guys need, and if you want to help kick cancer to the curb, make sure you check out the Pink Ladies of Wilson. Jamie, thank you so much for coming in this morning and looking oh so good in your pink scrubs. When we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly, and joining me right now is Lynn Williams, Public Relations Manager for Mount Olive Pickle Company. And Lynn, what is it exactly that you do with Mount Olive?
Well, I offer a few pertinent pointers pertaining to pickles as pontificated by a poorly preserved pickle packer who has lost her brine.
Now, how many times have you said that?
About 1 million.
About 1 million. And I have to admit, that was done pretty well, and you practiced it a couple times before we got on air. And when it comes to Mount Olive, how is it that you guys get your name out there?
How do we get our name out there?
Well, how do you get your product out there?
We sell about 130 million jars of pickles a year. So, and we're in all 50 states. So we're the second best-selling brand of pickles in the country.
And what is your favorite type of pickle?
Bread and butter chips.
Bread and butter chips, really? So you're more of a sandwich person?
Yeah, well, and actually in the summertime when it's really hot and they're really cold, oh man, they're perfect. That's just a little bit of heaven.
Okay, so what's the favorite way for your pickles to be made?
Well, if most folks eat them on sandwiches, 60% of folks who eat pickles eat them on a sandwich or on the side of a sandwich. So.
Now, are you a relish type of person with hot dogs? I know we're in the summer and everybody's grilling, or do you kind of shy away from those?
Well, I eat hot dogs. Actually, I do salad cubes more, and I put them in my potato salad and my deviled eggs.
Ooh, deviled eggs. This is also a problem right now. I didn't have breakfast, so I'm just really hungry. So
Actually, me too.
Yeah, this is a perfect guest to have on right now. I really do appreciate that. And with your partnership, with Mount Olive's partnership with the Tobs, how did that come about for you guys?
Actually, the Tobs approached us last year about doing a sponsorship. They wanted to do a pickle week. And I mean, who else you want to go to? We're right down the road. So it worked out pretty well. We had a good time, and so we're back this year, and we're looking forward to it.
And of course, you can get Mount Olive pickles at historic Fleming Stadium.
Yes.
Pretty good. And you guys not only will be providing the pickles for tonight, as you have been all summer long, but for tonight's game specifically, you're also bringing a couple of other things.
Well, we're bringing, Ollie Cucumber. He's our mascot, middle initial Q. So 8-foot pickle walking around. He's going to be in the mascot race. It's going to be hilarious. I can't wait. He's really not designed to run. So
neither Slugger, if you've seen him run.
It was hilarious. We've got money on whether or not he can actually stay upright and not fall. But Ollie otherwise is a really cool guy. So we're excited to have him here tonight. And we'll bring some prizes. We'll bring T-shirts and things to toss out in the crowds and scratch and sniff stickers and that kind of stuff.
Now, folks, I don't know if you can see the shirt that Lynn has on right now, but it is a dancing pickle shirt, and it's really cool. And I know that if you saw this shirt, you would definitely want one. So there's a bunch of different reasons to come to tonight's game, but one of them would be that shirt. I think everybody that has seen you in this shirt has had one response, which was, I really want this shirt.
That's right.
Now, have you been to any Tobs games so far this year?
Not this season, so I'm looking forward to seeing the new renovation and see how everything looks. I've heard lots of fabulous things about it. So.
All right, and of course we've heard lots of fabulous things about Mount Olive Pickle Company. They'll be tossing away some free shirts, some stress relievers, as well as a couple of other things at tonight's game. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for coming in this morning. I really do appreciate it.
I'm just glad to be here.
All right, now, when we come back after this short break on Tobs Talk, we will wrap up this edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this very special pink edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who came in this morning, from Lynn Williams out of the Mount Olive Pickle Company, as well as Jamie Ellis, who was representing the Pink Ladies of Wilson, and of course, head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, all for coming in this morning on this pink edition of Tobs Talk. Tonight's game is against the Peninsula Pilots, a 7:05 start with gates opening at 6 o'clock. And remember, folks, try to wear something pink as we're trying to raise awareness for breast cancer. Breast Cancer Awareness Month is in October, but it's never too early to try to raise awareness. And of course, you heard from Jamie Ellis of those same Pink Ladies of Wilson that you can actually get a pink recycling bin as well as trash can to try to do your part and help kick cancer to the curb. I actually really enjoyed that slogan. So just wanted to get it one more time in here out of the outro. But remember, folks, tonight's game against the CPL leading Peninsula Pilots, who come in with a 35-11 record. And we'll see if the Tobs, who are at 500, but who have a tendency to play really well against the top in the CPL, if they can do so yet again tonight at historic Fleming Stadium when gates open at 6 o'clock and first pitch is scheduled for 7:05. Try to wear something pink. I'm wearing pink right now because remember, folks, real men wear pink. Well, that will do it today for this edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris. Also remember, since tonight's game is a Thirsty Thursday, you can watch tonight's game on WIG TV channel 19 on Greenlight, as well as on wigtv.com. That is WHIGTV.com, of course, in addition to the CPL Web Pass. So one more time, WIG TV channel 19 here on the Greenlight system as well. Online, if you can, on wigtv.com, WHIGTV.com, 7:05 first pitch, gates open at 6 o'clock for tonight's game against the Peninsula Pilots. Wear something pink. Hopefully we'll see you at Fleming, folks.